every time I hear that sound, I feel like Eddie Maguire is about to ask me a question. I'll phone a friend, thanks. Good morning. Thank you, Paul, for the intro, and thank you very much for allowing me to talk here today at TEDxBrisbane. There's been some fantastic speakers, and hopefully I'm going to add to that. Or at least we'll say good. Right, here we go. All you need is Anywhere Theatre. Anywhere Theatre. Theatre anywhere but a traditional venue. Bit strange. Isn't that why we created theatres? To put theatre into? Well, this is actually the question that fired off a whole series of questions for me, and a whole journey which led to an idea, which then also led to, well, I suppose me talking here this morning. But it also tied into a couple of other questions that I'd had for quite some time, and they'd all come up independently, but I'd never quite linked them all together. And those questions were, way good. Theatre should be performed in theatre, right? Why isn't theatre and performance a bigger part of everyone's lives? And for all the creatives out there, why is it that the majority of artists in theatre seem to be the last in the monetary food chain? Okay? Not necessarily entirely related, however, it was this that fired off a whole series of questions for me. And what I'd like to do with my time here is actually try and lead you through some of my questioning to show you how I got to the idea. Okay, hope no one's hungry yet. If you are, whoops, hang on. First a question for you. Would you pay more for a generic product? Something that is made for the majority? Or something that is made especially for you? Would you pay more for something that is mass-produced? It's made to just suit the palate of everybody, as opposed to something that maybe you and 0.00004% of the population thought was the duck's nuts. You'd take the bespoke product, wouldn't you? You pay more because it's something that you want, something that is personalised for you, something that is tailored. Okay? Oh, that looks so tempting at the moment. I've got a 2.5-year-old that isn't sleeping. So why is it that I can go and see a production of theatre with an audience, and it's meant to be for an audience of 10 to 20 people, with the same actors, the same calibre of actors and creative staff, for a quarter, half the price, maybe even 10% of the price of a performance where I'm in there with 1,000 people in an auditorium, all looking rather serious there. Now, I'd just like to just park that thought just for a little bit, and what I'd like to do is go on to a little bit of theatre history, which is a little bit of a worry since I've never really studied it that much. Since World War II, it's okay, you can get your pillows out and put your feet up for a bit. Since World War II, and particularly after the 60s through to about the 80s, there was this whole concern that theatre was dying. I mean, theatre has reportedly been dying for 40,000 years. Not dead yet. But during this period of the 60s to the 80s, there was this idea that we really need to give theatre a home. And so through a lot of the Western world in particular, had these plans to create big theatre hubs, or in the case of what you can see here is London National Theatre. And this came from a dream that was originally from Laurence Olivier, who wanted to create a space where the actors, particularly, but also the playwrights and the directors, could find a home, somewhere where they could develop work, where they were the focus. Obviously, this kind of model has been followed and copied to different degrees around the world. Obviously, you've got the National Theatre in London, South Bank. You've got the Melbourne Arts Centre in South Bank, and you've got the Queensland Performing Arts Centre in South Bank. You're picking a trend here. So, let's have a look. How much of the money actually goes towards the artists at the NT. This is from 2010-11. And I've also picked the National Theatre here for some figures. One, because I love figures. And secondly, because they're far more transparent about it than some other places. And what they've got here, 184 full-time roles for an entire year. That's actors, directors, playwrights. It's all about the creation of the work. Okay? That doesn't seem too bad. Let's have a look at how many full-time roles I've got actually for the rest of the things around the support and maintenance of the actual building. You know, the administration, the managers, the marketing people. There we go, 794. Sorry for getting motion sickness there. 794 full-time roles. A couple of other interesting facts about this is that of those 794 full-time roles, the majority of them are full-time roles, contracts 1 to 3 years. The artists, 184 full-time roles, it's actually comprised of a lot more, generally up to 3-month contracts. Okay? Right, we'll park that thought because I want to go on to something else. Okay, everybody raise a hand. Now, also, apologies to the terrace and auditorium too, because I'm not going to be able to count you. So you can keep your hands down. But everybody in here, can I get you to raise a hand? Just want to do a little bit of a survey, because I have spent a little bit of time in marketing. I love this kind of stuff. All right. Okay. And I just also want to see how many people are sweating. Yeah, right. Okay, what I want you to do, keep your hand raised if you saw a piece of theatre in the last 12 months. Okay, so we're probably down to about 80%. Right, keep your hand up if you saw a piece of theatre in the last 6 months. So that's up to about April, yeah. Okay, keep your hand up if you saw a piece of theatre in the last 3 months. I think we're down to about 50%. Right, now keep your hand up if you weren't forced to go. Oh, that's good. Good. Okay, keep your hand up if you didn't know anybody in the show. Oh, yeah, there we go. Alrighty. Finally, keep your hand up if you can say the same thing about 6 different theatre performances you saw in the last year. Okay, so that gets us down to, I was going to say 1%, but I can actually count here. I know my 10 times table. What's that? 13? 14. I was actually thinking it might be a little better than that, but because we're all a creative bunch here and all into ideas. But that's interesting. There was a great study done by the Australia Council for the Arts with a fantastic title, More Than Bums on Seats. I think when they distribute it to America, I think it's going to be called More Than Fannies on Seats, so it doesn't offend anybody. Now, there is actually quite a lot of really good stuff in here, but one of the things that I found really, really interesting was when they were talking about the people and studying and surveying the people that weren't participating in theatre. Here it is. The 58% who had not reactively participated in theatre, including dance, in the last year. Reactively participated is government talk for went to a show, okay? Now, here's what the people they surveyed said. People came up with a range of reasons why they said they didn't go and see a show. Here we go. Oh, and a graph. Fantastic. All right. This is in percentages. You can see it's difficult to find the time, nearly 50%. I'm not really interested, over 40%. And also it costs too much, just a little less. I'm not an artistic person. There aren't enough opportunities close to where I live. It would be hard to get to. And it's not something someone like me would do. Yeah, we're not talking about strip clubs here. I mean, really, come on. Okay, so taking you on a little bit of a journey here, so let's recap, all right? What we've got, people don't go because theatres intimidate them or they don't think it's for them. Forces audience to attend in large groups, present company accepted. We pay more for a less personalised experience. We create an industry dependent on creatives where all the other functions have more stability of income. Audiences want more where they live. Okay, here's a map of Brisbane. I'll just zoom into where the majority of the major venues are. There we go. There we go. All right, remember we've got, 1.5 million people in Brisbane? Okay. People don't have time to commit to an entire evening. Nothing I'm interested in. Really all I've done sort of here is reword a lot of what we've already covered in. So, just logically going through that, how can we fix these problems? We can learn to press the right button. There we go. Rightio. People don't go? Well, put it in familiar locations. Schools, parks, streets, houses. Forces audience to attend in large groups. Will make it easier for new and established companies to perform in small or non-spaces. And also easier for audiences to attend. Pay more for a less personalised experience. Provide funding or put a value on small performances instead of just the structures. Create an industry dependent on creatives. Well, eliminate or completely minimise the non-creative staff and prevent empire building. At this point, I'm expecting the lights and everything to go off. Sorry. Actually, I'm not. Audiences want more where they live. We'll put it in the suburbs. Instead, look, we've got a huge population just in Brisbane alone. Let's take it out there. Time to commit to an entire evening. Well, our productions of any length. I mean, it's become something where we structure it in such a way where there are two halves so that we can, make a bit more money out of alcohol in the middle of it. And that's really for venues and producers. It's not really going to the artists. All right. Nothing I'm interested in? Well, let's have a lot more productions aimed at smaller audiences. Therefore, it's more likely there's going to be something on that you are interested in seeing. And look, at the moment, most of the system needs to be propped up anyway, so let's blow the money on the artists instead of the buildings. All right. This is where my idea comes along, the Anywhere Theatre Festival. The Anywhere Theatre Festival, we've run one, ran this year in May for 10 days. And what it was all about, really, was we created something where basically anybody can take part. We provided marketing and PR, a centralised box office, show listings, websites, distributed a program, free show posters, umbrella public liability to make sure people aren't going to get sued, or if they do, they've got cover, and help finding locations. These are basically a lot of the major things that take up a lot of these support costs. So we went, well, what we'll do is we'll do that and tailor it for the artists. All right. We set up a goal to have 10 productions, 10 days, and we thought we'd restrict it to Brisbane city limits. We ended up with 152 performances, 38 productions, stuck with the 10 days. Had productions from Ipswich to St Helena Island, Germany, Spain, UK, Norway, and the US. So broadened a little bit, yeah. All right, we had performances in cars. Opera in a boxing ring. A play that was a new play that was based on a historical incident that happened in Ipswich 100 years ago, and it was actually performed in the house and the well where this story actually took place. All right, lots of kids stuff, lots of things in parks, circus, everything. New play in a public toilet. And a show that in fact, a number of shows that you could watch online from anywhere. And even though we did have some where it was streamed, there were others where it was actually a conference call via Skype. So you had 10 other people, or 10 other groups of people watching, which you as an audience member could hear, and you also knew that the performers could hear it as well, which was incredible. Basically anywhere where we could prop up that sign, really. And find a guy in black with a goatee. We'll sort it. Rightio. So how did actually, what ended up happening? Well, we ended up with 75% audience capacity. So out of all of the shows, they were like 75% full. To give a comparison, if we compare it to, say, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which admittedly is a lot bigger, but is also a fringe festival in that it's open to anybody that registers to be part of it, they have an audience capacity that works out to be, I think, between 12 to 15%. All the big name acts obviously sell out everybody else. Okay, just to blow our trumpet just a little bit, or strum our guitar, this was all done with $10,000 in upfront cash and 2 staff working evenings around kids, along with the 270 performers that were involved with this. Okay, this was actually more theatrical performances than the Brisbane Festival did this year or last year, with an additional $3 to $5 million and 50 festival support staff, not including volunteers. Okay, and all it was about making it easy so that people could, so that audiences were able to find things easily. You can see there's a map there of where some of the performances are, and people could easily go in there and find things by genre, by day, or by location. And that was the big thing, then people being able to find out where things are on local to them. That was the whole idea. 0. That is how much was paid in venue costs by all the performers. We tried to do a rough calculation of how much it would have cost if the theatre performers and companies had to actually pay for the venues, and worked out it would be between $80,000 to $130,000. So that money went, after they got the box office, just went straight to the performers. All right? I've just put up some more text, just purely because I didn't want to get the wrap-up wrong. All right? The whole thing about the Anywhere Theatre Festival is we want more people to make theatre part of their lives. We don't feel the current model around venues works. We feel it actually does the opposite. It's created a ghetto. Okay? The Anywhere Theatre Festival is the first step. Our goal is that in 20 years' time, the festival doesn't actually have to exist because this type of theatre will be the majority. Right? We want to take it back to what it's all about, artists creating memorable, exciting, and engaging stories for an audience. Really, nothing else matters. So really, let's put the money towards paying the creators of the theatre to do that, just create theatre. And thank you very much, and if anybody would like to talk about it, send me a message, email, whatever, or I'll read the tweets that happened whilst I've been up here. Yeah, I know who you are. Otherwise, thank you very much. Have a great day.